Hey guys, it's Brandon, creator of Happily Dressed, a fashion blog dedicated to self-acceptance, self-confidence, and self-sufficiency, and welcome back to the channel. Today's video is a how I made this hoodie right here. We all know I already have a how to sew a hoodie video using the simplicity pattern that I bought that helped me make that hoodie and this hoodie here. I have not self-drafted a hoodie just yet, but this pattern is super easy to get your hands on, and once you do, there's so many other things you can create, like this blanket hoodie. So I'm super excited because I found this blanket at Goodwill for literally $4.99, and I thought it was perfect. You'll get the full experience soon. I'm not wearing any pants, so I'm trying to make sure you guys don't see that. Now you know it, but I don't have to show that to you. Anyways, this isn't exactly a tutorial of how exactly to do it. I'm kind of just walking you through my process. I do already have a video on how to sew a hoodie using this pattern, so you can go watch that. But without further ado, let's get into the video.
So one of the most important things when making a blanket hoodie is how you lay out your pattern. So this just takes some finessing because sometimes your blanket isn't big enough or it's too big. Like with mine, I actually had to cut out the hood in a different fabric because it wasn't big enough, and I wanted the fringe to be at the bottom of the piece and also the bottom of the sleeves. But once that was all done, this is what my pieces look like. I was actually really excited with how it was going and the placement I chose for all the cars. After that was done, I went ahead and set up my machine. I feel like a lot of tutorials with like blankets and all this stuff doesn't tell you like kind of what settings your machines are on. So I want to make sure I do that throughout this video.
Alright, so I'm actually going to start with the front of the piece. I'll put everything else aside, and then we'll actually find the front of the sleeve. You'll know the front of the sleeve because it only has one cut. That's why it's so important to make your markings, because when you get to the sleeve, it's like, wait, well, which one is the front? And you'll look, oh look, this one only has one. Cool. So this goes right sides facing to the front body. And then I'm going to sew this down at 5/8 of an inch seam allowance. And then once that's done, I'll do the same with this one. And if you have like a clear right and wrong side of your tapestry, blanket, whatever, then it should be pretty obvious, like this would be the front. But sometimes you could cut it wrong, so you just want to double check. Alright, I feel like no one really talks about the settings they have their machine on when they do this. But mine is on a straight stitch and a 3 stitch length. And then my tension is at like 4. But I'm just going to make sure that my markings line up. And I'm going to start sewing at that 5/8 of an inch seam allowance. You want to make sure you backstitch as well, or reverse stitch, whatever. But that'll lock the stitch in place. I always backstitch to the very top of the fabric and then keep going. And you're working with a thicker fabric, so I do have a heavy duty needle end. I feel like heavy duty or denim would work for this piece. And it'll probably be best to pin everything down. I am just lazy. And now we'll move on to adding the back to this. And the key here too is that you just want to take your time. Like, go as slow as you need to. I would never say go as fast as you need to, because you never need to go fast when it comes to sewing this type of stuff. Slow is the best way to go, because then you'll make sure you always stay within your seam allowance and you don't have to worry about your project being too small. So here we go. Now you can start to check the length. I know for me, I wanted to make sure that the fringe hem ended on the bottom, so I don't have to hem anything, especially with the sleeves as well. So I'm actually liking the way it's looking. Very excited. Now we can close it up. But before we do that, I'm going to serge all the seams I just sewed. Before we close this, when I had it on, I thought it might be really cool to add some fringe in the sleeve seam. So I want to measure how long this is, because I think that'd be so cool. So I'm going to get these pieces together and then show you how I'm going to put them in there so that I make sure that they show. Alright, so I got my pieces. I realized that I wanted at least 2 of the checkerboards to show with this like fringe, bat wing kind of thing in the seam. So what I did from there is that I lined up my ruler with this top line here and then gave myself 5/8 seam allowance. When I put this in the sleeve, like this, I can line it up with the seam allowance that's already present with the sleeve and sew it in place that way. So when I flip this right sides out, you can see the fringe and those 2 squares. So we've hit a dilemma, guys. This is what it looks like. It looks so stupid. I feel like a racing flag. But I was like, I still want the fringe, so I took out the checkerboard part and just added the fringe on this part, and I like it so much more. Like, I think I just wanted fringe in the seam, and I thought it'd be cool to have that. And honestly, it looks kind of cool from this direction, but I'm just like not a fan of it. And then it doesn't let you like close your arms that well, so I'm gonna have to seam rip this and then make it smaller and then do it again. So I've hit a bump, and it's okay. I mean, I'll just take my time. I wanted to finish this before I went to work, but it looks like it might have to be done when I get back. Actually having less of a stressful job seam ripping this out than I thought I would. That's crazy. This seam ripper is perfect. That's what happens when you get a sharp blade instead of the dull one you've been working on for 3 years. It does its job. That's what I'm talking about. I love this. Right here feels good. And stitch now at 5/8 of an inch. Alright guys, so I fixed it. Now we're rocking with just the double fringe. And now we have to do the hood. I'm gonna sew these clothes and then sew them together right sides facing so I have a double layer hood. And then I'm gonna sew the hood to this. But first I'm going to serge this so that way it's not really in the way. I do have to be careful because it's really thick right here. And that is the hoodie all done. It is a few days later now. I actually don't know when I started this project, now that I think about it, so it might be more than a few days later, but I'm super excited with how the fringe and the sleeves turned out. I'm very happy that I did not have that little extra wing part. And that's the beauty of, you know, experimenting. It's like, hey, I want to try this, and if it doesn't work out, guess what? You still have another solution to go, another route to go, that you may not have even thought of without that initial, oh, I should try this. So always try your whims and woes, even if they sound a little crazy or even if they look crazy, because then you can just fix it. But I am in love with this hoodie. I love how I chose the back of the car for the front, and honestly I love a good contrast hood. Like, this is really working out for me. When I made my first blanket hoodie for my friend that you can go see on my Instagram, I used the same fabric for her contrast hoodie, and I was like, oh, her contrast hood. I was like, I really like that. If I make any more, I might just always do this as the hood. Like, I have a lot more of this. I thrifted it, of course. And I thought I was gonna make it into pants, but now I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna keep it on deck for some hoods, because I actually have some more blankets over there that I need to make a hoodie for my brother. But yeah, that's this week's video. I hope it provided some inspiration for you on what to do with your next thrift find, whether it's a blanket, whether it's a, I don't know, something else, some other cool textile. Maybe it's even like a couch cushion that you thought was really cool fabric and you ripped it apart. So yeah, hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you want to see more of the things that I make and create, you can hit that subscribe button right down below. You can also go follow my Instagram, because that's where I post a lot of the things that I don't make a video for. And until next time, I will catch you all in the next video. See you guys later.